Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. My name is Utsaf Parekh and here are the top stories of the day. Israeli forces have stepped up their military offensive in Gaza's Rafah city despite international condemnation. Eyewitnesses reported that Israeli army tanks have entered central Rafah. According to Gazan officials, 21 people died yesterday due to the Israeli shelling of tents. The U.S. government has said that it has no plans to change its policy towards Israel. Washington says that it doesn't believe that Israel's actions in Gaza breached U.S. President Joe Biden's quote-unquote red lines. These remarks were made by White House spokesperson John Kirby. He suggested that the U.S. still doesn't believe that Israel has launched a full-scale invasion of Rafah. Kirby also said that Israel's recent operation in Rafah would not prompt a U.S. withdrawal of military aid. 3 Western European countries have now formally recognized Palestine as a state. They are Spain, Norway and Ireland. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez hailed it as a historic decision. This marks a joint effort by the 3 nations to ramp up international pressure on Israel to ease its operation in Gaza. Haiti's Transitional Council has named its new Prime Minister, former PM Garry Conille. Conille's appointment comes at a time when the country is grappling with rampant gang violence. He has been tasked to lead Haiti out of its current crisis until elections for a new president can be held. Georgia's parliament has reversed a presidential veto on a controversial bill that has sparked a month of widespread protests in the country. The legislation requires organizations receiving over 20% of their funding from abroad to register as agents of foreign influence. Despite it being labeled as a Russian-inspired bill by the West, Georgian lawmakers have backed the measure. The president now has 5 days to endorse the bill, or the parliament speaker will sign it into law. Now for updates from India's ongoing parliamentary elections. The Election Commission of India released voter participation data for the 6th phase of polling. A turnout of 63.37% was recorded across the 58 parliamentary constituencies that went to polls. The highest turnout for the 6th phase was recorded in the state of West Bengal at 82.71%. Meanwhile, the lowest was 55.40% in Jammu and Kashmir. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi held an election campaign in the state of West Bengal yesterday. He claimed the central government has recovered scam money worth 170 billion rupees and has given it back to the people. He also promised to return scam money worth 30 billion rupees to the citizens of West Bengal. The Indian PM alleges that Bengal's ruling party, the Transitional Congress, duped people in multiple scams. India's Prime Minister has expressed confidence that his party, the BJP, will be successful in West Bengal. He said that the Transitional Congress, or TMC, is quote-unquote fighting for its survival. He added that West Bengal will be the best performing state for the BJP. One of India's cabinet ministers, Piyush Goyal, has said that the ruling coalition, the National Democratic Alliance, or NDA, is on course to cross the 400-seat mark in parliament. The NDA coalition is led by the ruling BJP. Goyal also claimed that Indian PM Narendra Modi will win his Varanasi constituency with a record margin. Manohar Lal Khattar, the former Chief Minister of the state of Haryana, has accused the opposition Congress party of indulging in bogus voting at a few places in the state during elections held on May 25th. However, Khattar, who is a BJP candidate, also claimed that his party would win every parliamentary seat in the state. The Election Commission of India has suspended a key aide of Naveen Patnaik, the Chief Minister of the state of Odisha. The poll body said it was because of quote-unquote election interference. D.S. Kute, who works as the Special Secretary to the Chief Minister, has been temporarily removed from his duties. Politicians are gearing up to kickstart their campaign in Odisha. The president of the Indian National Congress Party, Mallikarjun Kharge, and senior leader Rahul Gandhi are set to hold election rallies in the state. Meanwhile, Indian PM Narendra Modi is set to address 3 public meetings in the towns of Mayurbhanj, Balasore and Kendrapara. This comes just days before the final phase of voting, where 6 parliamentary constituencies in Odisha will be going to polls. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has said that Narendra Modi will not become the next Prime Minister of India. The opposition leader said that it's his guarantee. Gandhi was addressing a rally in the city of Varanasi, where the Indian PM Narendra Modi will be contesting from. Voting will be held in Varanasi in the 7th and final phase of parliamentary elections on June 1st. M.K. Stalin, the Chief Minister of the state of Tamil Nadu, will take part in a meeting of the opposition alliance, the INDIA bloc, which will take place on June 1st in the capital, New Delhi. The opposition alliance called the meeting to assess their performance in the election and chalk out a future course of action. An MP from the state of Mizoram, K. Vanlal Vena, has made an appeal to the Election Commission of India. He is seeking permission for 1,047 police personnel from his state to cast their votes. The officers were deployed for polling-related duties in the states of Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh during the parliamentary elections in Mizoram on April 19th. Due to their deployment, they were unable to vote for the election for the lone parliamentary seat in Mizoram. In entertainment news, cases of bacterial disease are on the rise in Brazil's flooded south. Authorities have reported an increase in diseases transmitted by rats. 5 people have died so far from the outbreak. At least 124 cases have been recorded so far. Heavy rainfall has triggered severe flooding across multiple areas in the Indian city of Kochi. Experts say that the heavy downpour is due to a cloudburst phenomenon. Some areas received more than 98.4 millimeters of rainfall in an hour. At least 6 people have died of heat stroke in the Indian state of Rajasthan. Temperatures are expected to soar further with predictions of a severe heat wave. Scientists have predicted more heat wave days than usual this year. Mexico residents have been consuming record amounts of electricity. This comes amid extreme heat and water shortages in the region. Official data shows that the usage of electricity is more than Mexico can generate and transmit. According to a United Nations report, millions of people living around the Caribbean and Latin America face a risk in accessing healthcare. Due to climate change, low-lying areas are prone to storm surges, flooding and hurricanes. Thousands of hospitals in these coastal regions are at high risk of damage. On to business and tech news. The International Monetary Fund has upgraded China's economic forecast for 2024 and 2025. The global lender says that China's gross domestic product, or GDP, is expected to grow by 5% this year. Earlier, the IMF had predicted that China's GDP would expand by 4.6%. It said China's GDP forecast was upgraded after it reported strong growth in the first quarter of this year. The shareholders of the American energy firm Hess Corp have approved its merger with Chevron. The $53 billion deal was announced last year. However, it has faced several hurdles. The merger is still awaiting regulatory approval in the US. German automaker Volkswagen has announced plans to develop low-cost electric cars. According to the firm, the electric vehicles will be priced under $21,000. Volkswagen has said that it aims to launch low-cost EVs globally by 2027. The US stock market index, Nasdaq, touched the 17,000 mark for the first time yesterday. Nasdaq surged by over 0.5% during the trading session. Tech firms like Nvidia and Apple helped the market index reach a new high. Nvidia's share price rose by 6% yesterday. Meanwhile, Apple's stocks climbed by 1%. The stock market valuation of the chipmaker Nvidia has reached $2.8 trillion. Now the firm is just $100 billion shy of surpassing Apple's market value. Nvidia's stock prices have been climbing since last week. This is after the chipmaker reported strong earnings for the first quarter of this year. iPhone sales in China surged by 52% in April. This is according to data from a Chinese market research firm. The sales jump follows weak demand for iPhones in the country earlier this year. Apple has been facing tough competition from Chinese smartphone maker Huawei. To attract more customers, the tech giant has reduced the price of some iPhone models in China. Workers of the South Korean tech giant Samsung are set to go on strike for the first time. A union representing thousands of Samsung workers has called for a strike on June 7th. The strike comes after Samsung failed to reach a new wage deal with its workers. Samsung workers are demanding a 6.5% pay hike. The West African nation Ghana has signed a deal with India's Reliance Industries. Reliance's telecom unit, Jio, will help Ghana build 4G and 5G infrastructure. The firm will build infrastructure in the country for mobile broadband services. Reliance Jio has partnered with Ghana's state-backed next-gen infrastructure company. A case challenging the potential ban on TikTok in the U.S. will start in September this year. A U.S. court ordered the fast-tracking of the case scheduled yesterday. The case has been brought by TikTok and its Chinese parent firm, ByteDance. They seek to block a new law that forces ByteDance to sell TikTok by next year or face a ban. A group of TikTok users has also joined the case, opposing the law. The shares of American video game retailer GameStop jumped by over 30% yesterday. This is after GameStop announced that it has earned over $900 million from stock sales. The video game retailer capitalized on a stock price surge it saw earlier this month. GameStop's shares surged after a social media influencer named Roaring Kitty resurfaced. Roaring Kitty has been credited for the GameStop share rally back in 2021. Moving to sports, we start with cricket. Team India have begun training for the T20 World Cup. The first batch of players includes Rohit Sharma, Suryakumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, Jasprit Bumrah. They have already reached New York. Bumrah shared the team's training visuals on social media yesterday. Virat Kohli will join before India's warm-up match against Bangladesh on June 1st. Team England's T20 World Cup preparation was further dented yesterday. Their third T20 international match against Pakistan in Cardiff was abandoned due to persistent rainfall. Not a single ball of the match was bowled yesterday. England currently lead the four-match T20 series 1-0, but only one game has been played so far because of the weather. The Netherlands beat Sri Lanka by 20 runs in a T20 World Cup warm-up match yesterday in Florida in the US. Sri Lankan captain Wanindu Hasaranga won the toss and elected to bowl first. The Netherlands posted a target of 181 and successfully defended it. Sri Lanka faltered in their run chase and were dismissed for 161 runs in 18.5 overs. In football, Kylian Mbappe won the Best Player of the Year prize at the Globe Soccer Awards Europe ceremony in Italy yesterday. The French forward held off competition from Real Madrid pair Vinicius Jr. and Jude Bellingham. In his acceptance speech, Mbappe called Paris Saint-Germain the best team in France. Former Brazil international footballer Kaká visited China's Village Super League. Despite being a workday, the stadium was packed with spectators cheering him on. During his visit, Kaká also took the time to watch a match featuring elementary school students. Manchester City midfielder Kevin De Bruyne will be heading to the Belgium squad for the Euro 2024. Their coach officially announced the 25-man list yesterday. Among the surprises on the list was Axel Witsel, who was dropped from the first squad last year. Witsel announced his retirement from international football soon after that. In tennis, men's world number one Novak Djokovic began his title defense at the French Open yesterday. The Serb overcame his French opponent Pierre-Hugh Herbert 6-4, 7-6, 6-4 in the first round. However, Djokovic said he won't get too excited given his lackluster performance this season. Djokovic next faces Spain's Roberto Carbales Baena for a place in the last 32. Meanwhile, Daniil Medvedev from Russia is also through to the French Open second round. The world number 5 was on course for a straight set victory against Germany's Dominik Kupfer. Medvedev managed to win the first two sets 6-3, 6-4 against his opponent, but the German fought back to secure the next set 7-5. Medvedev eventually prevailed in the fourth set and won it 6-3. In badminton, Indian star duo Chirag Shetty and Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy suffered a shock exit from the Singapore Open. The world number one pair lost 20-22, 18-21 to the Danish pair of Daniel Lundgaard and Mads Vestergaard. This was the first time the two pairings had met at the BWF World Tour. The Indian round of the MotoGP India Championship won't take place in 2024. Promoters say it has been moved to March 2025 instead. Reports claim that race officials had not cleared their dues with rights holders after the inaugural round took place last year. In entertainment news, actor Robert De Niro didn't mince his words while talking about former US President Donald Trump. At a press conference, De Niro called the former president a tyrant. De Niro said that if Trump comes back to the White House, then people should bid goodbye to their freedoms. Actor Andrew Scott has joined the cast of Knives Out Part 3. However, what role he'll play is yet to be announced. Season 3 has been titled Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. The film is slated for release in 2025. South Korean actor Lee Jong-jae has joined the Star Wars universe. He says he was astonished to be able to join the Star Wars franchise. The Squid Game actor remembers following the film franchise since his childhood. Adria Arjona has joined the upcoming series Criminal. She will star opposite Richard Jenkins. The series is based on a graphic novel. The series is an interlocking universe of crime stories. Disney has announced the release date of Moana 2. The film will release in theaters on the 27th of November. The makers also released the film's poster, which shows Moana standing behind a hook. The first Moana film was released in 2016. The iconic 1990 Home Alone house is up for sale. The property of the U.S. state of Illinois has hit the market for $5.25 million. The house has been renovated to add modern amenities, yet it retains its classic charm. Bob Dylan's recently discovered handwritten lyrics to an unpublished song are up for sale. The lyrics are written on the telephone message pad of a hotel in New York. According to reports, he wrote the lyrics in the 1980s. The auction team feels that the sale might fetch somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000. Eminem has announced the release of his new single. The song, titled Houdini, will release on the 31st of May. This comes a month after revealing that he's planning to release a new album. Nicki Minaj held a moment of silence for Princess Diana during her concert in Birmingham. She said that the United Kingdom always reminds her of her dear friend the princess. While the two are not really friends, she has made several nods to Princess Diana in the past. The actor Barbara Allen Woods has parted ways with her husband, John Lind. The former couple were together for nearly 2 decades. They had been living separately for the past 3 years, though. Now they have filed for a divorce, citing differences. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.